far have you seen someone go to fake sick? I remember sitting in class when our teacher Ms. Jackson stammered in 20 minutes late. The room went dead silent, as we saw she was covered in coffee stains and looking like she hadn't slept at all. I've had it with this school, she muttered. We all exchanged looks knowing that when Missy Jackson was in a mood, we were all about to pay for it. 10 minutes in, Aiden the class complainer started up with his usual complaining. Miss, I'm starving. Didn't have breakfast. My stomach's eating itself. Last week it was a migraine from the fluorescent lights. The kid made it seem like he had more medical emergencies than the entire emergency room all time. But Paige was nice enough to give him a granola bar from her bag, just so he'd be quiet. Ms. Jackson's head whipped around like she had teacher radar. Oh, wonderful. Now we're having snack time. You know what? Pop quiz. Right now. 5% of your grade. The groans could probably be heard from space. This is exactly why I can't teach anymore, she went on, scribbling furiously on the board. 20 years of my life, and for what? So you can sit here eating granola bars and watching TikTok? Well, today you're going to learn what consequences mean. Everyone knew she was really mad this time, and Aiden unwrapped that bar like he was defusing a bomb. Then, one bite, and that's all it took. 30 seconds later, his face changed like someone flipped a switch. He started scratching at his throat, even silently coughing into his shirt. She didn't even turn around, just kept writing quiz questions like she was carving them into stone. The worst part, she knew what that sound was. She goes, do not give him the attention he wants. Obviously just trying to get out of this test. Then his lips started swelling. Everyone kept looking at him without trying to make it obvious. Red patches bloomed across his neck like angry flowers. He was making these wet, choking sounds that made my hair stand up. Ms. Jackson, Paige tried to tell her. Ms. Jackson, this looks real. Stop. She spun around and said, I will not have my class hijacked by another one of Aiden's performances. Everyone eyes on your paper. Anyone who looks at him gets a 0. But how could we not look? Aiden's face was literally turning purple. He was trying to suffer through, but there were tears and snot streaming down his face. He was clawing at his throat, making sounds I didn't know humans could make. Chase stood up. There's an EpiPen in your desk. My cousin has allergies. I know what this looks like. Missy Jackson planted herself in front of her desk like a defensive lineman. Sit down, Chase. This is exactly what I'm talking about. No respect, no boundaries, just chaos. Aiden was trying to tough it out, gripping his desk so hard his knuckles were white. His whole body was shaking like he was sitting on a washing machine. He tried to say something, but his throat was so swollen he couldn't even make a sound. Missy Jackson kept going. 20 years of teaching, and this is what it's come to. Students who can't go 5 minutes without drama. We watched in absolute horror as Aiden's eyes rolled back in his head. He slid out of his chair and hit the floor with a thud that I'll hear in my nightmares forever. Foam bubbled from his purple lips. That's when we all knew for sure this wasn't a performance. This was Aiden minutes away from never showing up to class again. Realizing there wasn't any time to waste, Chase jumped up from his desk. Move! He's dying! He ran towards Ms. Jackson's desk to grab the EpiPen, but Ms. Jackson spread her arms wide to block him. You will not interrupt my class. This is exactly why I can't teach. No respect for authority. None. Get out of the way! Chase screamed, his voice breaking. She dug in harder. Chase knew he wasn't letting him choke to death on the floor like this, so he shoved her with no remorse. She stumbled sideways, but Chase was already tearing open her desk drawer like a man possessed. He grabbed the EpiPen and dove toward Aiden, ripping the cap off. He poked it into his thigh as Missy Jackson screamed about how long he'd be suspended for after he assaulted a teacher. Paige ran out to get the school nurse, practically screaming. She was gone before Ms. Jackson could even process what was happening. The rest of us formed a protective circle around Aiden, watching Chase count out loud. Come on, breathe. It was the longest 30 seconds I've ever felt, as Aiden's chest was still as a statue. Then, we heard a sound like a broken vacuum cleaner. He gasped the slightest breath for the first time in minutes. But if he didn't get help immediately, he wouldn't have long. Paramedics and police came rushing into the room, clearing everybody outside. They asked Ms. Jackson what happened, but she was lost for words. Turns out that innocent granola bar was loaded with peanut butter. The cops interviewed every single student. One by one, we all pointed at Missy Jackson. She blocked the EpiPen. She wouldn't let us help. She said he was faking while foam was literally coming out of his mouth. When they asked for her side, she was still in shock. He's a known faker, always attention-seeking. How was I supposed to know this time was real? With no real excuse, they fired her from the school, completely banning her from the teaching district for life.